Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another week with the Greater Entrepreneur Success Group. I am yours truly, Sinclair Gray. Welcome all of you for this very powerful lesson. And we have a very powerful lesson today with Miss Priya. So what we're going to do, we're going to go and get started. So because it's a short number today, other people will be chiming in. If you could, please give me a 7-second elevator pitch. 7 seconds, just your name and your company. 7 seconds. I'm just going to start with how I see you on the screen, so no particular order. We'll start with Kim.
Good morning, everybody. Kim Hudson Gray. I'm actually in between endeavors now, but I will soon launch a jewelry line, Pearland Accessories, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm still working on it, so that's what I'm doing right now.
Thank you, Kim. Dexter.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Dexter Johnigan, Phoenix Mortgage Specialist, residential mortgage lender.
Perfect. Hilda.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Hilda Anderson, and I'm here on behalf of Village Tavern, and I'm the marketing associate. Glad to be here.
Thank you. We're going to skip you, Priya. Darlene.
Good morning. I'm Darlene Azwara, and I'm with Solar Brokers, and I'm a solar consultant. Nice to meet everybody.
Thank you, Darlene, for coming in. We have Insurance Lady Stevie.
Good morning. What could happen with this so-called open enrollment? If those are some questions that you have, Stevie is my name, and I would like to help you answer those questions as your Insurance Lady Stevie.
Thank you, Stevie. We got Ken.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Ken Fainer, the social glue, social media marketing and email marketing that sticks.
Perfect. Miss Sonia Boatwright.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Sonia Boatwright, health insurance advisor, here to help anyone who feels that they're paying far too much for health coverage or those that simply feel that they can't afford it. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Miss Duchess, aka Lillian.
Good morning, everyone. I'm here on behalf of KeySpot App Group and Quality SAP. Here to service all of your mobile app building, website building, web hosting, and domain hosting needs. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, did she already give you an elevator pitch? Cynthia, but we'll let you chime in.
Hi, everyone. Cynthia McAllister, owner of Quality SAP and home of the KeySpot app. Get your free promotion on the KeySpot app today.
Wonderful. Renee.
Good morning, everyone. Renee Creighton with RLC Hospitality and Travel, providing remote sales and marketing for hotels.
Perfect. Brenda.
Hey, everybody. I'm Brenda Landers with High Priority Plumbing. We do 24/7 emergency and septic, any kind of plumbing needs. But listen, hey, you guys dream big because you don't know what really big things are around the corner.
All right, perfect, Brenda. Well, everybody knows me. I'm Sinclair. I'm your success coach, business trainer, author, and speaker. I want to see if Stephanie pops in real quick. If we can hear you. Hey, there goes Stephanie. Stephanie, unmute yourself and just tell us who you are in 7 seconds, Stephanie.
Good morning. This is Stephanie Bolden with Lift Fund, providing your business the financial lift that you need to grow or start.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Well, everyone, I'm so happy and excited to introduce one of the top consultants in the state of Ohio, probably the U.S. Miss Priya. I met Priya at a roundtable we were talking about on race and racism through Cynthia. So that's how I met Priya. And Priya was just dropping some powerful knowledge on behaviors, on psychology, you name it, every type of ology except biology during the talk. So I reached out to her and asked her would she like to talk about something that we're all struggling with, is trying to get our mind right for success. So everyone, I bring to you Priya. Priya, you got 20 minutes. The floor is yours. And I will ask everyone if you could mute yourself. Have fun with it.
Thank you, Dr. Sinclair, and thank you for being here today. I realize, again, we are all busy and we have a lot going on. So my 7-second pitch to you would be, I'm a rebel who found my cause. And what that translates into is I am a person that believes in questioning social construct. If you tell me I can't do something, I'm going to ask you why, And then there's a good chance I'm going to show you I can do it. Now, why am I starting there and not giving you my bio? Because as we talk about the topic today of is your mindset holding you back? What I'm going to have fun with, as Dr. Sinclair said, so I'm going to invite you into this conversation. So please know you will take yourself off of mute, willingly, of course, is, we often don't realize that we are the creators of our own reality. Now, as I say that, I'm not discounting the world we come into with the inequities that are baked into our systems, the world that we live in, that we know not all is equal. All that is still true and relevant, but it's our mind in a way that sometimes stops us from going forward. And so I would say as entrepreneurs, soulpreneurs, as human beings, I want to kind of start the conversation with you. And I'm going to share some stories with you. And I, again, would love for you to chime in. You could use chat. You could take yourself off of mute. I know we have 20 minutes, but I think we could still kind of learn from each other and not just make Priya the talking head. So let me ask this question. When you saw the topic today, or when you even just hear the term mindset, what comes to mind? What does mindset mean to you? Anybody want to take themselves off of mute?
Just your thought process.
Your thought process, sure. What else? Where does your mindset come from along the way? Hilda, go ahead.
Yes, good morning. I think a lot of it comes from your environment and your inner strength or weakness. We develop from childhood into who we are. And I think a lot of it has to do with the influences in our life that have us grow or digress.
Yeah. Absolutely. And Brenda, thank you for chiming in via chat, right? Your life follows how you think about yourself.
And also your upbringing.
Thank you for going there, Cynthia. Yes, your upbringing. And by the way, what makes this more complex, in my humble opinion, is the world we live in, right? That world we live in has these systems in place, these norms that have been created before we all arrived here on planet Earth. And so as we show up as ourselves, and then our grandmas and aunts and uncles try to teach us what they believe is right or wrong, then we go into the world and we experience it. And this is where, again, each and every one of our experience will be different, because depending on what part of the country, what part of the world you grew up in, your generation, your socioeconomic status, the color of your skin, your gender, all of that has informed your mindset. Right? Now, my goal today is not to question your mindset and say, oh, it's all wrong. How dare you? Why would you think that way? What my goal today is to just have this dialogue and maybe even give us an opportunity in this 20 minutes or so that we have together, is how can you leave today with maybe just setting an intention of how you want your mindset to serve you. And I see some of you sharing via chat, right? Things we focus on. What we feed our mind creates our mindset. And I'll be very transparent, agree 100%, but I don't know about you, but I fall off the wagon quite often because my environment is constantly in odds with what I want to hold on to. Anybody relate to that? I see some knots going on over there, right? Like I want to be Zen and I want to be all in tune. And then comes my sister, right? And all that goes away in 30 seconds or less. Hopefully some of you can feel me, right? The question becomes for a lot of us, and I want to tie this not just to our personal lives, but to our businesses. How do we show up when we want that new gig? How do we show up when we're talking to a client? We're bringing all our stuff with us. And I'm going to share with you very briefly a story, a parable that I grew up with. So I grew up in India. And a parable, and this is a cartoon book, and like you saw it everywhere. And I'll say it in Hindi, and then I'll explain it to you in English, and I'll give you the context of it. But the parable in Hindi goes where we call each other kuएं का मेंढक, which translates into a frog that lives in a well. Now hang with me here for a second, right? So here's how the parable goes. There was a frog once that lived in a well. It was a, traditional well, we'll call it. So let your imagination go wild. It was damp, it was cold, it was dark, but it was abundant. Like The frog had everything the frog needed to survive and believed to thrive in this well. The frog lived and hopped, ate its bugs, and life was good. One day, the frog jumped up so high that the frog found itself sitting on the ledge of the well. Now imagine at the ledge of the well, looking around at the world around you. And as the frog looked around, and this is where I want your imagination to go wild, the frog saw blue sky, this beautiful pond with birds flying around, abundance of bugs, lily pods, you name it. The frog took a couple seconds, looked around, turned around and jumped right back into the well while saying to themselves, there's nothing out here. Now, the question I have for you, have you ever been that frog in the well? Anyone want to share? And I know I'm taking you off the deep end because I'm making you jump in the well and jump out of the well with me. Anybody want to share where and how you can relate to this parable through the lenses of mindset?
I can share.
Please.
And it's just on the from a broad point of view, business wise, there's been things and activities that I've done and I've noticed results from. However, it wasn't comfortable for me. So I had to push myself to even do those new things to see those new results. But because I didn't do it for long as I needed to make it a good habit that I want to keep, I have stopped doing those things. And it's like, why am I not doing it anymore? So now I've made sure that I put time on my schedule to do those things because I know that the results will come from that. So I'm hopping on the ledge and I'm in the water.
I love it. Thank you. I love it when you can relate to the analogy and go with it. Someone else was chiming in, I know, so please jump in.
That's me. Hi there. Hi, Priya. I have been the frog, but unlike the frog that jumps back into the well, I actually am in awe at everything that I see around me, and I jump straight into the exploration. I say that because I think it's basically because of how I've been brought up and also the examples that I have from my parents. My parents are, from Jamaica, and they came to London and they set up their home. I'm actually here in Florida. But when I got to the edge of my well, I decided, oh my gosh, look at all this wonderment out here. And so as a result of that, I've actually lived in 5 different countries. I've traveled the world on my own. I'm from London originally. I've lived in the Netherlands. I've lived in Egypt, Cairo, which was a crazy experience. I've lived in Guatemala. I've lived in St. Thomas, and now I'm here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. But I have actually traveled all over the world. So I would say, don't be like the frog that jumps back into the well. Even when you go to these places, there's still so much more to discover. So just be bold and understand the power of the frog, that he can hop and go anywhere. So I would have encouraged that frog not to go back into the well.
Thank you, Sonia. Any other thoughts that are bubbling up for you?
I'd like to just say real quick that sometimes you need, at least in my case, I had to ask someone, a friend, a mentor, about what I should possibly do with an opportunity, because I had created my own business. This was years ago, and I saw it as a particular type of business. And someone heard about what I was doing and my connections, and they said, would you do this for us? It wasn't what I was normally doing. And I was like, it's not what I do. And I was looking, I was like going, but there's an opportunity here, but I wasn't sure how to take advantage of it. So I contacted a good friend, a mentor, and I said, this is what's been presented to me. What do you think? And he gave me the encouragement to stop. What I wanted to do was jump back in the well. And he gave me the encouragement to say, no, you need to step out and you need to do this. If you've got the ability and the time to take on this extra project, how can it hurt what you're doing? So I did, and I was very happy I did.
And thank you for sharing that, Ken, because what you just shared and what Sonia just shared, I want to make a quick connection, if I could, a little formally there. The question that I often like to reflect on is why, if you identify with the frog, or if you can relate to when you jump back in your well, what's the why behind it? Because that to me matters more than what the opportunity was or was not. So it wasn't like every opportunity we get, like every time we jump on the ledge, it's the right time to jump out and explore. Because what happens if there was a big storm brewing? So maybe it was the right decision for the frog to jump back in the well where it was safe and come back later to explore, right? Like there's lots of variables as we think about the pandemic and the last year we've all lived as business owners and leaders, as parents and just adults. It's the why that determines how much of what you're doing and showing up as connects to your mindset. Right. So as Sonia talks about her experiences and her exploring, it's, fortunately, again, this is where culture comes into play. You were taught to go with that, go with the flow, explore. A lot of us were taught to fear the unknown and to stay within our 4-block radius, for that matter, because outside was not okay. And this is where, again, for me, where culture comes in and the intersectionality to mindset is so critical, is where I like to bring in the conversation of what part of the world we grew up in. What part of the town you grew up in? What was the socioeconomic status? What was the race? What was the messages you received that related to your gender, to your race? So, I would beg to say, like, if we started polling some gender norms, our women here might have a different perspective than our men, because we could have potentially been taught to think differently. So when Sonia said, I travel the world alone, immediately my mind went to the social construct. You're a woman. Was that okay? Like, who called you and said, Sonia, what's wrong with you? You know how unsafe it is for you to travel as a woman? I'm picking that as a silly example because even in business, the message you may get from the outside world as a woman, for example, may be different than a male colleague might get, which then impacts your mindset because you start to question yourself. Anybody relate to that, where you've questioned yourself and in the end you were like, I knew I had it. I know I was sitting on the ledge and it was all going to be okay. And I was going to figure it out. But you know what? That great grandma came in my head and she said, don't do it, Cynthia. You know what happened when I jumped off the ledge of this well? So I went back in and it was a missed opportunity.
Yes. I love the conversation, Priya. It's an endless conversation. It brings up a lot of things to think about. I am of Middle Eastern descent and came to the United States when I was very, very young. As many of you can well imagine, I'm 52. So there's a lot of preset about females and what their place in the world, if I saying that as best as I can. And I was one at a young age that questioned it a lot and said, well, why can't I? I can do what others can do, and felt suppressed, but also knew that it takes courage to jump out of the well, and that it's okay. And I can forgive myself for jumping back into the well because we're all human. But to know that it's grace that brings us out of the well is something that I've learned to embrace as I've gotten older. Yeah. So thank you for the conversation. I had no idea that this is what we were going to be talking about, and I appreciate you.
Thank you for that feedback, Hilda. Thank you. I really do appreciate that. And I want to make a connection because you helped us transition really well. And I love it when things happen organically and I don't have to say, now let's talk about, right? So thank you for that gift as well. Let's start making that connection to what you said and build on it for a second. So for me, when you started to share your reflection out loud, the first thing I went, well, when I see this screen, I see you all as frogs now. I know I'm being silly and no disrespect, right? Because again, I know culturally frogs can mean different things in different cultures, but here's what I mean. We are a community in a way, right? You're connected here through the leadership of Dr. Sinclair, and we all showed up because he put out an invite for us. So if we are all in our own silos, our own mindsets, our own experiences, our own lines of businesses, our own culture through the lenses of whatever we bring and whoever we are, when we come together, I feel like we're all sitting on the ledge right now in our own little wells. And maybe we jump off the ledge together and enjoy the pond for the day, explore together. And they say there's power in numbers, is what I hear, right? So we lean on each other. We acknowledge each other and recognize, to Hilda's point, that part of this journey, I feel this is just my worldview, is I don't know if we can solve for this. I don't know if you can get to that place of Zen, or I'll even call Dalai Lama, while living in the real world. Now, if you figured it out, please seek me out after this session so we could talk some more. Because what I will tell you, for me, it's a constant balance every day. And I can't tell you how often I intentionally be like, I'm done. I'm going to my well. I'm not interested in anything you got to say right now. And I own it though, right? But if you live in the real world where social construct, where life challenges, where business challenges are pushing us, and we are trying to not rely too much on what was fed to us growing up. Because some of us had different programming growing up that said, be afraid, don't get too big for your britches. Anybody remember that one? Right? And yeah, a lot of the women hear that, right? Like, don't get too big for your britches. It's like, well, what does that even mean? Right? Like, basically that's telling me my interpretation, don't leave your well, don't leave your neighborhood, because that somehow makes you like you're selling out. Right? How does that inform you? That we can only move forward, is the way at least I interpret it, is if you just acknowledge and accept who you are. Now, I know, again, that's easier said than done. I wake up telling you every morning I accept myself, but I can assure you, my mom who lives with me, when she comes slamming through the door and sees something I've done, she's not going to accept me for what I did, right? Because it didn't match my mom's social construct. I'm giving you a silly example, but you know we're dealing with this every day. So being grounded and accepting yourself and working through that, I call it guilt. I'll let you call it what you want. And just owning who you are. So as individuals, as business owners, as human beings, the more we accept who we are while knowing we're not perfect, at least that's how I believe, again, we're not perfect, will allow us to constantly do this back and forth. And full transparency, and then I want to open this up to just to get some thoughts and reflections from you, is the fact that there's nothing wrong with being in your well, right? There may be a place and time where you just genuinely make a decision and say, you know, I have opportunities to grow my business. I have opportunities to do all this thing, but right now my focus needs to be this, whether it's me, whether it's my family, or whether it's the clients I'm serving right now. As long as you understand your why, and that why supports you, not because, oh, I'm scared, or because I don't want to, or I don't want to make more money than someone else, or what will the world think. Those are fear driven. As long as you accept your why, it's perfectly okay to go back in that well and hang out for a little bit, because it is safe in there. There's no predators either. So I invite you to show up as you. Be unapologetically you is what I often say, and I believe that. Doesn't always serve me well, but I still show up as me. So thank you, thank you, thank you. But I want to open the floor up. I know we formally have about 4 minutes. I just want to see what reflections are coming up, what's bubbling up for you.
You know, first I want to thank you. I think what you hit something I hope everyone understands. You put the word your why. The word your cannot be overlooked. It's not your family's why. It's not anybody else's why. It's your why. It's very personal and individual. So thank you so much for that. So that's why I wanted to chime in.
Well, I just want to say, Priya, you're fantastic, and thank you so much for sharing. I want to give you big hugs. But this was so encouraging because I'm actually on that journey of, jumping out of the well and exploring. And it's a very exciting undertaking. And I think this is just more reinforcement that I'm going in the right path.
And Cynthia, you're in my heart. So we kind of go back in different ways. And she's an absolute amazing connector, an amazing human being. So whatever she's setting her mind out to doing, jumping out of her well, is going to be amazing.
Thank you.
Any other
And,
thoughts? Yeah, please, Brenda.
Yes, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, Sonia, go ahead.
Yeah, I would say that even when you do decide that you're going to be courageous to jump out of the well, still just always listen to your sixth sense and your gut instinct, because there are going to be other people around you that will, your friends, family, they're always going to be fearful. And even at this stage, I still get fear from others being pounded onto me. That's one thing. And the second thing is, even when you jump out of the well, there are going to be hurricanes. I mean, I myself have lived through that horrible hurricane in St. Thomas, the two Category 6 hurricanes back to back. The thing is this, you always will come out on the other side. You just have to take it one moment at a time and it'll be fine.
Very well said, Sonia. Absolutely. And the literal hurricanes. And to that, if I can make that direct connection, that's where our mindset sets us apart from others around us, right? That hurricane. And what did you do when the hurricane hit? So March, at least in Ohio, March 16th was our stay-at-home order with the pandemic. My business went from I am fully booked up for the year to 0, right? So what did I do in that hurricane as I looked up and went, is this it? Am I going back and sitting in my well, or am I figuring out what do I need to sit at the ledge and maybe peek and see what does the new landscape look? Right? That's where our mindset truly drives us. And I'm not saying our mindset is going to be the be all end all, but it just helps us show up a little differently, maybe.
Priya, could you give the spelling of the name of the Hindu parable? We know it's the frog in the well, but Darlene is trying to get the spelling or the name of it.
Well, so, oh Lord, you're gonna make me try to spell something in Hindi. Well, it's kueh, and here's what I'll say to you. If you Google frog in a well and type it in, it'll show up in the Indian language. But kueh ka mendak. Kuah is well, mendak is frog. And what I want to leave you with, I know right as we come to our formal time at least, and I want to thank you again, how grateful I am for you just relating to my story and my parable this morning, is no matter how much we venture out, what big ponds we are hanging out in some ways those ponds are still our boundaries. Right? So we may not be in that cold well, we may be on a big pond, but we may be on a 2-acre pond when we are being invited to come play with our businesses in a 20-acre pond. Right? So just remember that even though we may have conquered that itty bitty pond that was, 6 feet round, we still have other ponds to conquer. And that only starts with our mind. So thank you so much again. I truly am grateful for this time, and starting with Cynthia is who I want to thank, because Cynthia got me connected to Dr. Sinclair. And Dr. Sinclair, thank you for seeing this as an opportunity and putting this together for us.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Well, look, everybody. I know Eartha's on. Eartha, if you can hear me, just give us your name and your business. Give us 7 seconds if you can.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Eartha with Postkeeper CPR in Conyers, Georgia. Our mission is to help save lives by training those aspiring to be on the front line, providing them with CPR and first aid advanced CPR training. Eartha with Postkeeper CPR.
Thank you so much. Miss Smith.
Good morning. I'm Tawanya Smith with Right Choice Motors located in Covington, Georgia.
Thank you so much. Also, real quick, I know we got about 5 minutes left, so I don't want to take up too much time. do anyone have any comments that have not spoken? If you have been silent and you have not raised your voice, this is your time.
I just want to say something real quick, that one thing that I've been thinking about, and I know that this is something we all probably need to think on, is that it's okay to be really good at what you do, and it's not prideful. And as we all walk in excellence, just think what a world it will be, you know, as we encourage one another and each other's gifts, and we grow in our gifts. And so I think that's something that I've always been, because it's like, well, you know, you need to be humble, and definitely, you know, you need to, but humility, you lift others up, and you can still be good at what you do when you lift others up. So thank you so much for today. I really appreciate it.
Excellent.
Yes, I appreciate it too. And Brenda, that was just so sweet to wrap up what was said today. It definitely did encourage me to step out on the ledge, and fear is real. We don't even give it credit. That's why it creeps on up and gets us to stay in our comfort zone rather than stepping out on our comfort zone. But I like that little saying, Priya, even though we really conquered that little pond, there's so many more little ponds out there. So let's go conquer some more ponds. Let's edify each other. And thank you again, Dr. Sinclair and Priya. This was awesome. I look forward to the next one, of course.
Really good job. Sinclair, thank you so much. And Priya, thank you. You know, you don't always quite know the impact you have on others. So I think I can speak for everyone in this group to say that you have been very impactful, and what a wonderful way to start the week. So greatly appreciative of it.
Thank you.
Exactly. But I have to definitely second and third that. Thank you so much. Anyone else? We got a few more seconds.
I want to say what I heard. I appreciate that, Priya. And also the point that you made that resonated with me was making sure my why isn't fear driven. And also learning to go to the pond, to step out of the pond, I will use my why as a stepping stone to do so. So thank you so much.
All right, excellent. Thank you so much. Anyone else? No, normally we're always wrapping up and I have to cut people off and say, okay, fine, you got to say what you got to say in a few seconds. So take this opportunity. We have 3 minutes left. Anybody want to chime in? We haven't heard from Kim. Kim, why don't you say something, Kim?
Good morning, Priya. Thank you so much. That was so powerful. Me being the frog, I just have to say that I jumped to the ledge, and I have jumped off of the ledge into the pond, and I don't have an option to go back into the well. So now this is my time to explore, and that's why I say I'm in between endeavors, and I have no other choice but to be positive and persevere, basically. So thank you so much for the parable. It was powerful, and this was a great way to start the week.
You got this, Kim. I'm a firm believer, you know, God doesn't put us in situations that we can't handle. So I believe it's in you. You just have to believe it's in you.
Exactly. And I want to thank you for that, Priya. You know, real quick, this weekend I was speaking in Gray, Georgia, which for those who don't know, from Conyers, it's about 53 miles from Conyers. And it was amazing because it's an area that has like about 32,000 residents. And come to discover, there's many people who have never left the city, never left the area. And I think, you know, when you're, not to speak negative of people, when you're stuck in a certain area and you refuse to get out of your zone, you become too comfortable. And next thing you know, you stifle your own growth. So I think, you know, as Priya said, we have to explore. There's nothing wrong with exploring. You will learn, you'll have more fun. That's what I have to say. I'm gonna put someone on the spot for like 1 minute. If they want to say something. Darlene, I met Darlene, oh gosh, last week at the training. I think it was about a week and a half ago at the training. Thank you so much for coming and joining us, Darlene. So Darlene, you got anything you want to add to this mix?
You guys are spitting straight up wisdom this morning, but thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Blown away.
Perfect. Anyone else before we close out? All right, well, Priya, thank you once again so much. Just let everybody know this would be uploaded and I'll be having this sent out on YouTube by the middle of the day. So Priya, you got 35, 45 seconds, close this out in your own way if you want to leave us with something.
Well, thank you. First of all, I want to thank everyone for just showing up open and sticking with that parable. And I'm going to leave you with this: no matter how big we think, no matter how much we question our mindsets, we are still in our own way frogs in a well. And it's okay. Acknowledge that to yourself. At least that's what I do. I will say it to myself every now and then. Oh man, you were the frog in a well, right? So decide how big you want to go and just know that it's all in you. And here's a community of other frogs that get you now. So when you call them and say, I'm feeling like a frog in a well, they'll lift you up.
Thank you.
Have a good, wonderful rest of the week.
Thank you so much. Everybody be safe out there and always refer to somebody. Have a great one. Take care.
Take care, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Priya. Thank you. Thanks, Dr. Sinclair.
Thank you.